And we're live.
Right. Someone want to start us off?
So we're just trying to answer the question on the assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, number one. Why did sorry choose to incorporate Hawaiian legend or tradition into his story? Eric?
Anybody
Well,
Hawaiian?
what was that?
Anybody's has any Hawaiian blood?
Oh,
I
yeah.
do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
Well,
you Hawaiians should respond.
okay. I think he chose to incorporate Hawaiian legend because it kind of gives a little depth to it, and the Hawaiian traditions help tell the story a little bit better. Like a spiritual, cultural way, and the pigeon spoken uh, in the book kind of makes it more authentic.
Um, I think Hawaiians are superstitious in general and very spiritual when it comes to a lot of different things and daily life also. So it's normal for us to go about our day, but then something like that has to do with spirits or ancestors will come up in conversation and I guess some uh, just kind of a thing that we do in normal life, but and even in other Polynesian cultures. But that spirituality incorporated into everyday life is a pretty general thing amongst Hawaiians or Polynesians.
What I noticed about the Hawaiians ever since I've been here, they're really good at telling stories. So storytelling. They're really good at telling stories, especially working at PCC. They tell stories through dancing, and then now hearing this, and it's mostly stories about, like you guys said, ancestors, families, genealogy, and it ties the living with the dead, like how deceased people come and visit us. Um, yeah, but I think that's why he incorporate Hawaiian legend into the story, because it kind of a link or ties to everyone's, like everyone has lost someone, and they want to see them again. Everyone want to see their loved ones who passed away. Like it kind of put interesting in the readers, especially those who doesn't have a Polynesian background, or I think they can relate to the story through the Hawaiian legends.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too. I wonder, like, I feel like people who are unfamiliar with like Hawaii and Hawaiian, who haven't been to Hawaii or unfamiliar with it, I feel like they would be confused reading this book because there's a lot of like references to pidgin and references to like the Hawaiian language and things like that I feel like most people on the mainland would just be confused by. So I wonder who the audience is for this book.
Mm, a good
That's
question.
true.
Because that's the same thing I was thinking about. Who's the audience?
Yep.
Sweet. Next one.
Shoots. All right.
How would this book make Hawaiian tradition relevant to contemporary readers? I guess going along with that, and then your last comment about the audience, I think gave me a different perspective about the houseless. Sometimes we would phrase it instead of homeless because Hawaiian people will say that Hawaii is their home. They just don't have a house. Um, but then you can see that he built a little family within his fellow park dwellers that, it became like a little home for him. But it gave me a different perspective living with homeless in Hawaii. We see them all the time, but I've never seen it through their perspective. So I thought it was pretty interesting because a lot of them didn't have a choice. Like Ikao, his grandma died and he just had nowhere else to go, so he ended up at the park. It wasn't mainly about like drugs or anything. Like, he wasn't doing anything bad, but I feel like I seen a different perspective from their eyes.
Yeah, I like that too. I've never thought about seeing from, I feel like it really does help the reader to kind of have more empathy, I guess, for the homeless, especially here in Hawaii. You kind of, you start to kind of feel bad for them and feel like it makes me want to go and like help, homeless people that I see or like give them money or whatever.
I'm pretty sure every place, every country have homeless people right there that everyone can relate to. Because every time we see homeless, we think about helping.
And a lot of times, like in the book, it's like people are a little bit disgusted about it, huh?
Mm.
Yeah, I think he kind of helps people to understand the culture here. I mean, I know Eric knows about it. We work at a zip line, and people always come and tell us, like, man, it's different here. The people are different here. The way they act towards other people, there's that spirit of aloha. I think it helps the reader to really understand that concept. That's what I kind of got out of it. Like you said, empathy kind of thing for other people, homeless.
I also wonder just like how realistic it was. 'Cause I feel like in the book, there's just like so many situations where like everybody just like looks at him, disgusted with him, and everybody's like so mad at him. Like, I wonder if constantly, I know some people are like that, but I feel like people are generally nicer than the book made them out to be.
Yeah, same.
But I don't know.
Right. Next question.
What question are we on?
3.
The race.
How does race affect relationships of characters in the novel? Gender, class. Give specific examples, including page numbers. That affect the relationships.
Oh,
So which one?
It's kind of interesting because the whole like Hawaii is just a melting pot of different cultures. So race, it almost felt like everyone was from a different culture, but just living there and doing their own thing. But I'm trying to find a specific example in the book.
Yeah, same here. So what? Example.
I mean, you definitely saw examples of class, not necessarily race, but it talks about class as well. And just like the way people treated him, because he appeared, he looked like a homeless kid. So people kind of treated him, in some ways, people treated him bad. Some people were nice to him, but a lot of people, he'd go into the shop and they'd kind of look at him and tell him to get out of there or whatever. I don't know what page numbers that's on. I mean, that happens multiple times in the book.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You can definitely, just by how people treated him, you can definitely tell what class they were in, even though it didn't specify, like, oh yeah, I'm a businessman or whatever. But just by the way people were going about things in the book, you could definitely differentiate what class they were in.
I guess one example, because they showed a lot of different examples of different races. Like there's that one account where he runs in, or he's saying hi to everyone in the beginning, page 12, and he says hi, I think to a Japanese tourist. It says, and they're like "Aroha, Aroha," or like, what does that mean? And he talks about like love, and hello. And then I think one thing that keeps coming back to my mind is the is she? I think it says Polynesian McDonald's worker. I don't know if there's specific to what kind of Polynesian she is, but there's a change of the Filipino lady and how she pronounces words to the some Polynesian lady, how she would pronounce the words, and that's how he writes it. I don't know where it is though.
Yeah, the author definitely makes a point though to pretty much like give everyone a race and say which each person that the author describes is like either Japanese or Samoan or Hawaiian or whatever.
Yeah, it's on page 40. It says, another woman from behind, strong Samoan accent, says, "Excuse me, sir, please don't leaf with a T-O-N-T and a L-E-A-F." So I thought that was just pretty funny because I'm used to hearing all those different accents and to see it in words. I think it just gives it a more real idea of Hawaii and how you go from the Filipino lady saying, what did she say? Something like, "What would you like to order?" or something. It starts with a P, but we see that every day here, where you have so many different accents from the different cultures that are here. Pretty important to our folklore, I guess, or
But
the way
mostly
we
known
live.
for their aloha spirit. No matter what race you are, they always like have that aloha spirit, especially when they're driving down the road. They'll give you way. They'll give way for you to cross, something like that. And do the shaka sign, showing aloha spirit. It kind of relates to the story how the conversation between those two genders.
Shoot.
So the next question just asks when there's two factors that come together to influence how the character is treated.
Yep.
So like race or class or gender.
Yep. And I guess you need a specific example.
Do you guys have any examples that you can remember and that we could find it?
I remember one in like chapter 2 when like there was that group of men under the tree and they kind of like were messing around with Yukao and they were like, you know, teasing him and whatnot, and they started beating him up for like no reason. And it was like, you know, it kind of shows like their class thinking that they're better than him, you know, kind of looking down on him, kind of thing, like he don't belong here, kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
only
good.
one, kind of. Or I didn't really specify their race too. It could have been race thing, like, you know what I mean, like this is, you know, you're not from You know
I
what I mean?
think they said they were Hawaiian, or the main guy was Hawaiian.
The
Yeah,
one
he
that was
was.
beating him up.
Oh no, I feel
Oh,
like
was it not?
they. I don't know if they were Hawaiian too.
Oh, but they were beating up the Hawaiian guy. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
right. Maybe that's what I thought.
The one at the park.
hmm the gang members that murdered his friend.
But it could have,
Yeah,
it could have also been a race thing because
yeah. That's what I mean. It
even
could go
though he's
both
Hawaiian,
ways.
he looks haole or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It could go both ways, like gender. I mean, class or race. You could say.
Gender, yeah. Even in that one, they call him faggot. Like
Yeah,
maybe it's they think he's gay or something. I don't know.
One of the examples that came into my mind, I guess, like when he was saying hi to everyone, um, the Japanese couple that I referenced, that came from his experience with the ants when he was observing the park and he was just sitting there and he was watching all the ants like bump heads uh, and say hi to each other. And so he started doing that to the rest of the park, which I feel like ultimately started his friendly interaction with everyone around him, which ultimately helped him in the end because he was friends with all the different park people. They came and rescued him when he was getting attacked. And so I think that little lesson of the ants and his observation and him practicing that, those two key factors, helped him towards the end save his life in general.
yeah. That's a good one.
You can definitely see some differences as well in the when he runs into that girl at the bus stop, like the college student. Um, there's definitely some differences in between the relationship of him as like this homeless kid versus her as like this college student. And when he goes to the college, you can definitely see he feels kind of out of place there because he's it's all these intellectuals and these college kids, and he's just like this scroungy like 14-year-old homeless kid. So I guess that's more class. Another example of class.
We good? Should we move on to the last one?
Yeah,
I think that was it.
Oh, was that the last one?
I think
Yeah.
the last one is just what
Share a
our
thesis statement.
individual, yeah.
Oh, share a thesis statement. Like on here or
they're here. I think
oh
here and maybe and probably with the report or something. Assigning members as you put together response with notes. Remember the special sheet to quotes. Oh no, you don't have to share it on the report. Just share quotes on the text as well as the thesis statement. Oh yeah. So quotes, thesis statement, and our URL.
well, I think the theme or whatever. I think it's kind of similar to like the first book we read. You know, just about kind of being yourself, finding yourself. You know, he kind of gains a sense of family and a sense of who he is. You know, even though he didn't come from much, and but yet he kind of he kind of thrived and end up turning out good for him. I think that was kind of the theme of what I mean, just kind of being resilient.
Yeah, I think I kind of had a similar thought. Is that like basically through helping others and forgetting about himself and just focusing on other people, he's able to, in the end, help himself and kind of discover himself and better himself in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
But it was only through helping other people that he was able to achieve that.
Yeah. I wrote down in the previous assignment. Was thinking about the main message of the thesis. It's about an act of kindness can be found on everyone, regardless what their situation is, if they're homeless or not. Uh, Not everyone who ends up homeless afflicted.
I think
No.
for me, from what you guys didn't already say, there's kind of a big lesson on family, even though they're not blood family. Treating everyone you meet as someone you would, I don't know, like a sibling is that aloha spirit, which is what we are taught when we're younger here, or even in general, just like have respect for others, but ultimately treat them as if you would your own family because it's the right thing to do. And in the end, everyone helps each other.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that sounds good.
Ah, so who's gonna do the report this time?
Has anybody not done it? Roman, is that you, bud?
Yeah, I think it's your time, Roman.
Oh, wait a minute. Did we read 4 books?
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, I think Andrew was gonna do the one last time when it was just me, him, and Pensy, but because you guys didn't, we didn't all get on that call.
Oh, yeah, I can do it.
I mean, we could just send you a thesis or something.
Yeah, yeah. That'll make it easier.
In the in
Quote.
the what? Do you want it in the message, the
Yeah,
Facebook
yeah, just
message?
send it in the messenger. Yeah, and then I'll put it together.
Okay, I'll do that
That's
now.
cool.
That was it. I'm gonna stop